dan salam sejahtera. Beliau pernah menjadi setiausaha akbar seorang menteri kabinet. Pada usia remaja, beliau sering mengikut bapanya menyokong pemimpin pembangkang Chiam Si Tong. Pilihan Raya 2020 ini yang pertama untuknya dan bertanding di Potong Pasir yang pernah menjadi kubu kuat Encik Chiam Si Tong. Selamat datang Encik Jose Raymond, calon pembangkang Singapore People's Party. Welcome to the show, Jose.
Hi, it's great to have you for all of you to have me here, and I'm thankful and I'm good that I'm able to take the time to rest my weary feet.
Jose, you're a former journalist, joined the public service and was once a press secretary to a cabinet minister.
Mm-hmm.
And now you're a leader of an opposition political party standing for elections. Can you tell us why and how this happened?
Sometimes life leads you in different tracks, and you have no control of certain instances, or there's no way in which you can define how and where fate takes you. So my life has been an interesting journey. I spent 11 years as a journalist in both Straits Times and MediaCorp, and those were among the best days of my life. And I decided to try a second career in public service. I decided to leave in 2007, and even when I was in public service, my life took me from one journey to another through the roles which I was asked to take up. And when I left the public service to join the non-profit sector, it was also again at the back of wanting to learn different things and also to be able to bring out a different side of my personality, because in all the things which we do, the kind of skill sets you need for a journalist, the kind of skill sets you need for a civil servant or a public servant, and the kind of skill sets you're going to need in the commercial sector as well as in the NGO sector, all very different. So actually, I think my role in the non-profit sector helped me to enhance my people sector, my people orientation in how I do things, and to see life through a different perspective or different set of lenses from a people sector organization. So one thing leads to another sometimes, and I never expected that this is what I was going to do. In fact, this was going to be never on my plate. I never thought I would end up standing for elections.
Especially from the public service, press secretary to cabinet minister, and now leader of the opposition.
Well, yeah, but that was a public service role. And yes, but I still do have and maintain my connections with a lot of people who are in government. And I think that's critical in me wanting to help other people, because ultimately I'm going to need to seek help from them.
Were they surprised you became an opposition politician?
I still maintain contact with some of them, and actually some of the messages I had were good luck on your new career and your new path, and no one discouraged me. In fact, I still meet up with some of them, for some of my close allies or friends in the ruling party, for lunch sessions, for discussions. And I think that is they understand. I think my friends understand that I was brought into this. I had to take this path as a means to pay it forward to Mr. and Mrs. Chiam for helping my family many years ago, and they understand that this is the approach I'm going to be taking, where I'm non-adversarial and non-aggressive in my approach, and because I do believe in collaborative politics.
Right. Your father was a staunch supporter of Chiam Si Tong and SDP then, and the story goes that you often went with your father to political rallies to see Mr. Chiam. Is that why you joined the SPP now and supported Mr. Chiam?
Obviously, my background, my father bringing me to rallies when I was very young, obviously has left an indelible mark in my mind about Singapore politics. And it is stuff which legends are made of, and I'll never forget the rallies which I attended where Mr. Chiam was presenting in the Potong Pasir both in 84 and 88. And I still remember the exact locations of those rallies which I attended in Potong Pasir. One of it was actually an open field, but which is now a car park. And there was no space, and my father had to bring me up to level 7 to watch the rallies. And But that's really left an indelible mark in my mind about the role politics and politicians can play. But I joined the Singapore People's Party mainly because the Chiams helped my family out when we were in need in 1990, and when they approached me to help the party out a couple of years ago, 4 years ago now, um, I decided that I have got to find a way to pay it forward, and also to perhaps bring about my own personal blend of politics to the table.
So what
And
is your
yes,
personal blend of politics that you're talking about?
this is it's a brand which I have been using during this campaign, for example, where I just solely focus on the people and their needs in the area in which I'm contesting. And essentially, if you know your people and you know your ground, you will know the kind of pain they are in, and you'll be able to then use the electoral process of the 9 days of campaign to help them. And you see, and I do not need to even go after any of the other political parties, or to try and get one up on them by showing them out or showing their weaknesses. Essentially, I just need to fight a campaign where I show people that I have your back and I want to represent you, and this is what I can do for you. So please help and vote for me. So it's a very different approach as to attacking or going after the failures of the incumbent party, or to go after the failures of the government from the last term. And that's largely the campaign which I've run in Potong Pasir over the last 1 week since campaigning began.
So this non-adversarial stance that you're taking, focusing on local municipal issues rather than national issues, right?
Mhm.
Is that going to be your winning ticket? You think so?
I don't know. I'll probably only find out in a couple of days' time whether this approach worked and whether it was an emotional enough campaign for people to feel associated with. But ultimately, all of us are emotional creatures, and I don't think a large number of us use a large number of us actually use our hearts more than our minds when we cast our ballot. Those are emotional decisions, because it's not so much about how good is the person, but it's more about whether I trust that person, and whether that person is going to be here for me when I need them most. And those are emotional decisions.
Mr. Cham has withdrawn from politics, but his legacy, winning Potong Pasir, will always be remembered. Are you riding on his legacy to win back Potong Pasir?
Not at all. If you notice, my campaign has actually been run about what I bring to the table. There is a history between us, but that's about it. Ultimately, people are going to see what I bring to the table. Ultimately, people are going to see and decide based on what I can help them with. Because Mr. Cham and I may have a history, but that accounts for nothing when I'm trying to bring and help people today, or try to solve problems of tomorrow. So it's just you know uh, well, fated that I have got this interesting history with Potong Pasir and Mr. Chiam. But you realize that since campaigning began, I have not even said a single thing about it,
Why not?
because I want people to judge me for me. And people need to judge me for me, and I must not ride on anyone to be able to get a to get a seat in parliament. People need to see the value which I bring to the table, because ultimately it's my skill sets and my intellect and my personality which is going to be able to help them.
During your walkabout in Potong Pasir, what's the response like from residents?
I have had, as in politics, I think there's always mixed responses. You will never find anyone who's going to have 100% of people supporting you. So there will always be your supporters, and then sometimes you'll have doors slammed in your face. And obviously I've seen both. I've got the really emotional, hardcore supporters who wait for me. Like last night, they were waiting for me in Juseng, because they knew that I was going to be there for a while. And I was amazed that they actually waited, and doors were opened, and they actually literally yelled when they saw me. And which is why last night I actually put up a message for residents of Juseng. But in saying that, we also have people who are obviously not going to support us and they're going to just slam the door on us. But it's fine. It's par for the course. And that's something which I always tell my volunteers that, they must not get hurt by it because this is politics and this is how it is. So far, I've been on the ground for 3.5 years, apart from Jusing, the areas in Jusing and Tai Seng and Mount Vernon, which were just brought into the area recently. People generally know me, and because I've also got I live a kind of like a very high profile life, and so people generally know who I am. But now it's going to be down to whether they trust me enough to give me the vote on election day.
But it's going to be quite tough to unseat the present MP.
Yes, I give him the due respect by saying that he is a formidable opponent, having had his time on the ground, and I think he is a formidable opponent. So I've got to give him the respect that he has been on the ground for 20 years, and that means something.
Your approach of being non-adversarial, completely not adversarial. You claim in your Facebook posting you didn't even mention the word PAP in your one rally.
Except in that post where I had to use that sentence.
Is that a very, very deliberate positioning?
Yes, it is. So when I decided to get involved in politics, I also I told myself that I cannot get out there and just attack for the sake of attacking, or just smear a name for the sake of doing so, just to win votes. I think that's not going to help me at all. It's going to make me lose friends. I think I take a principled approach in the sense that we must be able to talk about the issue as opposed to talk about the person or talk about a party. My approach is, in a football parlance, you need to go for the ball and not for the man. And I strictly swear by that because it's important that we see perspectives, but the perspectives cannot be such that we attack a personality, because if I must do to others what I want them to do to me. So which is why I think in the last 7 days, I'm still running. The campaign is still on track, and in fact, to be honest, I was quite worried about this interview because this is a very crucial period, and if I say anything wrongly, it derails a campaign. But I decided that I've got nothing which is too controversial to discuss, and which is why I accepted this interview, and I decided to come here and kind of share my perspectives as well. But if there's questions which I think we'll have to discuss another day, then I'll tell you we need to discuss some other day.
It's Mr. Nice Guy image, right? This Mr. Nice Guy image that you're projecting, does it really sell? Because when being an opposition, you're supposed to be the fire in the belly kind, passionate, fighting for rights of the people.
I can fight for rights while smiling. It's like a smiling tiger, right? And I don't need to put up a face which everyone else puts up, which is of anger, because I'm not angry. I am keen to help people, and I don't need to be angry about that. Yes, there are policies which require a bit of a retweak or rethink. I think I can be sane, and I can be moderate about it and bring it up at a way in which people are not going to get irritated. So, but let's talk about. You brought up this point about whether Mr. Nice Guy works. Well, the bulk of people on the ground also like to see moderates. They want to see people who are also non-adversarial, because I don't think they enjoy that, in our politics, people go for each other's throats. And that's the feeling I get while talking to people, that they want to see moderate politics where we're able to discuss openly and without having to, get at each other's throats at any point of time. Yeah, and anyway, I also think that in politics, I got to be authentic. This is me, this is how I am, and it's hard for me to put up an angry front when I'm not, or to be a tiger with fangs showing when I'm clearly a smiling tiger instead.
Okay, these extraordinary elections with the COVID-19 pandemic still a threat. As a communication professional, how do you think the social and online media will impact the results of this election?
Um, if I was standing in a constituency where it's predominantly youngsters, first-time voters from the ages of 21 all the way to maybe about 40, um, I think this would have been an easy elections to get through, because it's this group of people who are probably the most active online. And, I think all of them are going to be consuming their news online or searching for information online. The bulk of people who are messaging me, residents from Jusing, residents from Potong Pasir Senat Estate, MacPherson Green, who are messaging me through my Instagram account, direct messages or WhatsApp, Facebook messages, are all very much youngsters, first-time voters, reaching out to me to tell me that we are supporting you, we are backing you, you have our vote. And that's quite amazing, because it shows that I've been able to reach out to this demographic of people very, very clearly. And so that will be critical. But in a town like Potong Pasir, where I think about 40% or more, slightly more, over the age of 50, that requires a double or maybe even a more concerted strategy to reach out. So that means it's got to be the online strategy has got to be coupled with a very effective ground strategy, and people must already have known you prior to me taking part. Because if they don't know you, 9 days is not going to be enough. You cannot cover 70 blocks of flats in 9 days. So I'm kind of lucky that I've actually been doing my groundwork very, very early. So that the bulk of people on the ground who are already above the ages of 50 already recognize who I am. And, so that helps a lot as well.
But most of the opposition leaders we spoke to felt that this elections is a disadvantage to the opposition because of the COVID-19 restrictions, social distancing, and all that.
Yeah.
Does that apply to you as well?
But let me take that question from a different perspective or a different angle first. Let's talk about 2015 and 2011 elections, right? 2015. Let's talk about 2015 first. We had rallies. We also had the emergence of a new political party, Sing First, and there was rallies all around. I think a lot of the Workers' Party rallies were showing massive numbers of crowd. But in terms of results, what happened? I mean, how was the end result? The end result, in the end result, it was a close shave for Aljunied. So despite having rallies, it was not a clear indication that you were going to get the results, right? Likewise, in 2011, I mean, there were tons of, there were lots of rallies all around. I mean, SDP rallies, there were huge crowds in all those rallies. In fact, it looked like as though the PAP government was going to be taken down. But again, the results did not show otherwise. So I think the fear, I think the change in not having rallies has brought about somewhat some level of irrationality in how we are looking at the final result of the elections. Because if any political party or politician had been able to remain active in his or her area in the last 5 years, all other things being equal, which means without the boundary changes, whatever, okay, that's a separate story or just a separate discussion altogether. If the work had been done on the ground from day one, from the last elections till now, I think we all probably know our constituents already. I would know that, I've got 51 blocks which I need to cover in Potong Pasir. I'll have 21 blocks I got to cover in Jusing. I'll have like 800 households, 800 private property in Senat Estate. You already know all of this. So the only thing you'll have to do is solidify, get out and reach out to those people, to the residents, and make sure that they know that you're still here. So I think it's a matter of strategy. So we in terms, for me, I think even during the CV period where we're all stuck at home, I was campaigning. How was I campaigning? I was sending letters to people. I was sending letters to residents in the estate. From my home every day, I was sending 100 letters. I was writing to them, telling them, don't worry, I'm still here for you. I enhanced my letters, as in like written letters.
Really?
Yeah, and I think in the course of the CB period, I sent out 2,000 letters
interesting.
to the residents. And So I'm constantly in a campaign mode, you see. So, and even during CB, the CB period, I realized that residents were also in need of appeals being helped. They had appeals which needed attention. And some of them were sending me through WhatsApp, some of them were sending me through email. So I got my web developer to create a new tab on my website, my campaign website, to a Get Help tab. So residents could actually just get on that and send me their appeals directly, which landed in my email. So even during the CB period, I was actually campaigning. I wasn't on the ground, but I was campaigning.
How critical are the Malay votes in your Potong Pasir constituency?
In terms of the demographic of Potong Pasir constituency, the Malay Muslim community is actually a very small community compared to the Indian community.
Yes, and Malay.
Yeah. So there's actually very few Malay Muslim community families in Potong Pasir. I think there's only about 5%.
Okay.
Compared to, I think the Indian community is about 9% or 8% or something like that.
So not very critical.
No, I don't look at it that way. I think that every vote, every family is critical for me, and which is why I make sure that I try to reach out to all of them. There's no every single household is important, because you'll never know which are the families you're going to need help. You see, I don't approach this. I mean, throughout the years I've done my work in Potong Pasir, I've never approached it from a perspective of I need to win your votes, or which is why I need to focus on you. I've looked at it from a perspective of, I'm going to see who needs help, and I'm going to get out there and make sure that they get their help. So the strategy has been that. It's not about, I know that my vote count is, I know you got 5 votes in here, I need to go and pay attention to all of you. Actually, to me, that's immaterial. In fact, even today, when I'm going out to do my rounds to all the blocks, I don't even look at the electors register. I'm just knocking on the doors. So whether or not it's a PR who opens it or a foreigner who's actually renting, I don't care, and I still pass them my materials and say, as long as you're part of the community, that means you're not going to look after you. I don't even.
In the last 3 days of campaigning now,
Mm-hmm.
right? But over the last 24 hours, a few things happened. I'm sure you know what.
Mm-hmm.
Police reports were made.
Mm-hmm.
One against the WT candidate, one against the Heng Swee Keat. How do you see this development?
Actually, I think our politics has reached a stage where it's becoming slightly toxic. And I honestly think we got to find a way where we try to normalize in some ways. Like I said, this is why I talked about collaborative politics. We got to figure out what is the key issue and figure out how to solve those issues. What is the point of us, during the course of elections, trying to get out of each other's throats? I don't see a need, and I think people on the ground are also extremely upset that instead of discussing issues, we are looking at a scenario where there are issues which are coming to a play, which include police reports which file against each other, which only distracts from the core issues at hand. We have got serious issues we have to discuss. We have got COVID-19 we've got to discuss. We've got to discuss about placements or job placements for people who might be losing their jobs. We've got to talk about economic restructuring. We've got to talk about the HDB lease decay for people's homes, which the devaluing of their homes. And instead of all of that, we are actually looking at issues which really taking away the big picture view of what elections are about. To me, that's concerning.
As a former journalist who've covered a few elections, I'm sure just like me, at one point we thought that toxic politics would have disappeared. People would be more mature.
Yeah.
I'm surprised it came back. Is it because of the internet, because of social media, people are freer to express their frustrations that this came about?
No, I don't think it's just the internet. I don't think it's just social media. I think it's the way in which we are conducting our politics, which needs to have a bit of a review down the line. Or we need to take a hard look in the mirror and ask ourselves, is this the kind of politics we want for ourselves?
And who should lead the way?
All of us. I mean, for me, I am doing it the way I am doing it. I'm just going to be looking after people of Potong Pasir because every election is a local elections. You need people on the ground to think, yes, I want you as my leader, I'll vote for you. And then I can take their national concerns up to Parliament. That is my approach because we are all ultimately emotional characters. We are emotional people.
Okay, Jose, thank you so much for your time. Good luck, and we hope to talk to you again. So,
Wow, the half an hour passed so really quickly.
yeah, that's right. Thank you, Jose.
You're
All the best.
welcome. Thank you.